Welcome back to Enigmatic Echoez, where the internet's darkest legends, paranormal encounters, and unexplained stories echo long after the episode ends. Tonight's story is one of the creepiest modern urban legends ever created. Not because it's ancient, not because it's bloody, but because it feels possible. The elevator game is one of those stories that sneaks into your head quietly, and then suddenly, you're standing alone in a hotel elevator at midnight, watching the numbers light up, wondering why the 5th floor suddenly feels terrifying. And honestly, elevators are already weird enough. We willingly enter a moving metal box with strangers, pretend nobody exists, and trust cables we've never personally inspected. Humanity really said, yeah, this seems safe. So tonight, we're diving into where the legend comes from, the ritual itself, the mysterious woman behind claim appears, terrifying encounter stories, the Alyssa Lamb connection, and why this legend still spreads online today. Turn the lights down, and maybe take the stairs after this episode. Let's begin. The elevator game is believed to have originated in South Korea during the early 2000s. The legend spread through paranormal forums and internet message boards where users discussed ghosts, rituals, dimensional travel, and supernatural games. Unlike older folklore passed down through generations, this legend was born online. And that changed everything. Because people weren't just hearing stories, they were reading detailed instructions, supposed first-hand experiences, screenshots, warnings, and eerie posts from people claiming the game actually worked. That made it feel more believable, structured, specific, and humans trust specific details. If somebody says, perform this random ritual and summon a spirit, most people roll their eyes. But if someone gives exact floor numbers, exact steps, exact rules, exact consequences, suddenly it feels more real. And over time, the story spread worldwide through creepypasta forums, Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, paranormal podcasts, and horror communities. But the strange part? There isn't just one version. There are several. And depending on who tells the story, the outcome changes. Now, before we continue, there is no verified evidence this ritual actually opens another dimension. This is an urban legend, but people online treat these rules very seriously. The most common version says, you must be alone, use a building with at least 10 floors, and avoid interruptions. Then you ride the elevator in a specific sequence. The most popular version goes 1st floor, 4th, 2nd, 6th, 2nd, 10th, 5th, and according to the legend, when the elevator reaches the 5th floor, a woman enters. This is the part that made the story famous. The woman on the 5th floor. Descriptions vary. Some people describe long dark hair, pale skin, distorted features, unnaturally tall posture. Others say she looks completely normal, until you notice something slightly off, and according to the ritual, you must not speak to her, look directly at her, answer her questions, or acknowledge her presence, because supposedly, she isn't human. Now, personally, if a mysterious woman silently entered my elevator at 2 a.m. during a paranormal ritual, I'm immediately becoming a decorative wall sticker. But according to the legend, you continue the sequence, and eventually, the elevator opens into another world. This is where the legend becomes deeply unsettling, because people describe the other world in strangely similar ways. It looks almost identical to others, but empty. No people, no sounds, no movement, just silence. And silence where sound should exist is terrifying. People claim they experienced dead electronics, no phone signal, dim red lighting, empty hallways, dark windows, distant shapes, and overwhelming dread. Some stories mention seeing a massive red cross glowing far away in the distance. Others say the atmosphere feels heavy, like reality itself is wrong. And according to many versions, the woman follows you there, not aggressively, not violently, just watching, patiently. And somehow that's worse, because loud horror is easy, quiet horror stays with you. The Woman Who Wouldn't Blink, one of the most famous online accounts, came from a translated Korean forum post. True or fictional, it spread rapidly online. A man claimed he attempted the elevator game alone late at night inside an office building. At first, nothing unusual happened. The elevator moved normally. The lights worked. Everything felt ridiculous. Until the 5th floor. The doors opened and a woman stepped inside. He claimed she wore dark clothing and smelled faintly like perfume and wet earth. But what terrified him most was that she never blinked. Not once. The man said she stood silently beside him as the elevator ascended. Then she spoke, softly.
Where are you going?
He ignored her. Then she asked again.
Why are you going there?
Still, he refused to answer, and according to him, the temperature inside the elevator suddenly dropped. Then she whispered,
You shouldn't be here.
The elevator doors opened, and beyond them, he claimed the hallway was completely dark. Not unlit, dark in a way that felt unnatural, like the darkness itself was alive. He stepped out briefly and immediately felt panic. No sound, no air movement, nothing. Then, behind him, he heard footsteps inside the elevator. The woman had moved closer. Without turning around, he rushed back into the elevator and began to return sequence. But he claimed the elevator stopped repeatedly on random floors, and every time the doors opened, the woman appeared closer, watching him, smiling, until finally, the elevator returned to the 1st floor, and according to the story, she stood directly outside the doors. The post ended with one sentence. I stopped using elevators after that night. Honestly, that's understandable. I'd probably move into a single-story home immediately. No stairs, no elevators, no risks. Just emotional support escalators. Now, we need to talk about the case most associated with this legend, Alyssa Lamb. In 2013, Alyssa Lamb was found dead in a water tank atop the Cecil Hotel. Before her death, surveillance footage showed her behaving strangely inside an elevator. The video became one of the internet's most disturbing mysteries. People noticed unusual movements, hiding behavior, strange gestures, and elevator doors that seemed not to close. Almost immediately, online theories exploded. And because parts of her elevator behavior vaguely resembled the elevator game ritual, some people believe she had attempted it. But it's important to separate fact from internet speculation. There is no evidence Alyssa Lamb played the elevator game. The investigations pointed toward mental health struggles and accidental circumstances. Still, the internet permanently connected the two stories together, and that connection helped spread the legend worldwide. Because when real tragedy mixes with internet horror, the story becomes harder to forget. Now, the elevator game taps into several psychological fears at once. Isolation. Elevators trap you in a confined space. You can't easily escape. You're stuck waiting. And at night, that vulnerability feels stronger. Ritual psychology. Humans naturally associate patterns with meaning. The numbered floor sequence creates the illusion of control. And once people expect something scary, their brains start searching for danger automatically. Every sound feels significant. Every flicker matters. Liminal spaces. This is the biggest reason the legend works so well. Elevators are liminal spaces, transitional spaces, neither destination nor journey, just temporary emptiness. And humans are deeply uncomfortable in empty places meant for people. That's why abandoned malls, empty schools, silent office buildings, and deserted hotels feel creepy. Something about them feels unfinished, wrong, and the elevator game weaponizes that feeling perfectly. There are really two ways people interpret this legend. Version 1, supernatural. Believers claim The ritual opens dimensional doorways. The woman is an entity, and the other world is real. Some even believe people who disappear under mysterious circumstances crossed into it accidentally. And honestly, the consistency in stories is unsettling. The same details appear repeatedly. Silence, red lights, empty worlds, malfunctioning electronics, and emotionless figures. That repetition keeps the legend alive. Version 2. Psychological. Skeptics argue the experiences are caused by anxiety, suggestion, sleep deprivation, adrenaline, and expectation. And scientifically, that explanation makes sense because fear changes perception, especially when someone is alone late at night performing a ritual they already believe is dangerous. The brain begins connecting unrelated events, and suddenly, a normal elevator ride feels sinister. Still, even knowing that doesn't make the story less creepy, because next time you're alone in an elevator at night, you will think about this legend, especially if the elevator stops unexpectedly, especially if the doors open and nobody's there. So, would you try it? Would you ride the elevator alone at night, following the exact sequence, hoping the doors don't open somewhere they shouldn't? Or would you decide some internet rituals are better left unread at 2 a.m.? Because whether the elevator game is supernatural, psychological, or simply one of the internet's greatest horror legends, it taps into something very real. The fear that reality might not be as stable as we think. And honestly, the next time an elevator door opens too slowly, you're probably going to remember this episode. Sleep well, listeners. And if someone steps into the elevator on the 5th floor tonight, maybe don't ask where they're going. This has been Enigmatic Echoez. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode, hit like, follow, and share the podcast with a fellow horror lover. And remember, sometimes the scariest thing in the building isn't what's waiting outside the elevator. It's what stepped in beside you. Good night.